Such a sad one there. Even though the authorities of the Lagos State Traffic Management Authority LASMA have denied the involvement of their men in what transpired yesterday, eyewitness report continues to maintain that it was officials of LASMA who were chasing the driver, and that's what led to the unfortunate incident. Well, the driver of the fleeing vehicle, as at this morning, has surrendered himself to the police, and further investigations are still ongoing on the issue. But Dr. Maduka and Prince Chilaka, let's quickly hear from you on the activities of LASMA officials, all right, in Lagos. There seems to be unending complaints, about them. It's either they are jumping into people's cars, struggling the steering with one driver, or there are accusations of them extorting, drivers for no reason. And the complaints goes on and on and on. And it has culminated in commercial bus drivers yesterday actually taking a stand and protesting their activities in Lagos. And unfortunately, the incident yesterday evening ended the day, and it's all still on LASMA officials. What are your thoughts on these issues? Do you think that something, I'm trying to choose my words, what do you think should be done, on this issue of, the alleged unwholesome activities of LASMA officials in Lagos?
We discussed this issue severally, and we see running around in the same circle. The issue about LASMA, has always been a problem in Lagos State. And we've talked, and unfortunately, it's the same thing. Now, I don't know whether if in Nigeria, once you're wearing uniform, you become an enforcer of law. The issue is that what is the clear cut functionalities of LASMA? Are they to arrest vehicles, or are they to take care of the traffic? And unfortunately, even in the local government areas, once you see somebody who is wearing a uniform, he becomes somebody who is seen as a militarized person. He takes law, even not only in Lagos. When you talk about this lawlessness in most of these uniform, civilian military uniform guys, you talk about in Anambra, you talk about, if you look at, if you go to Onisha, if you go to Owerri now is a hub, go to Aba, go to Kanu, you see this uniform that are men that are government have done, do something for them to manage the traffic, becoming law themselves. And unfortunately, you see police people and army in conjunction with this kind of, lawlessness has become something of normalcy in this part of the country, especially in Lagos State. You are talking about the one that is on the road. If you go to streets, you see in each street there's a avenue or LASMA, whatever you can call them. Extorting money from bike people. If you go to the road, you see that every trailer, every vehicle is being extorted. And sometimes you that is riding a good car, they will stop you and start asking you for your driving license. And I asked one of them one day, is that what you are there for? And the dilapidated, downfall, all these vehicles that are not even good for our roads are applying. And you see them at the bus stops. They are not doing anything. And recently we lost people at the Ujileba. We've been losing people. It's like in Nigeria, life doesn't really matter anymore. It's like we wake up every day to hear one sad news to another. And we're not taking proactive measure to that. Let me take you again. If you travel outside, you don't see traffic warden, anybody on the road. There are CCTVs. There are other things they can use to apprehend whoever that is road-wise or whatever. You don't need to be on the road chasing people like if we're animals. These are barbaric. These are what happened in those days, 1960s. Even in 1960s, even more civilized. People do not accost you and start, chasing you as if you're animal. They have been instructed. If somebody, if a vehicle is not following the order, take picture of that plate number. Take it to your central room and print out the offense. If though our database is not even okay, because if we have a good database, once you print it out, the address, everything about that person will come out. So you just take that penalty necessary and go to the person and then hand it over to him for that person to pay. You don't need to chase somebody. So there are other ways, but unfortunately, this good way has even escalated, especially between this year. It has escalated, and it's like no man's land. Everybody does whatever he wants to do. Unfortunately, the government that these guys are following will not do anything.
All right, thank you, Dr. Maduka, for your summation. Let's bring in Prince Chidaka at this point in time. What are your thoughts on these issues surrounding LASMA officials and their activities?
LASMA has become like a bone that the negotiations have swallowed or they have chewed and cannot digest. Lagos State government has turned a blind eye to the nefarious activities of LASMA officials. I've had my encounters with them, severally, and it didn't end well. I think first thing first is that the Lagos State government and the Lagos State House of Assembly need to go back and redefine the job of LASMA. This whole problem we're having, seeing people being killed, seeing people being hunted, seeing drivers being chased off the road by LASMA officials is not because they have committed traffic offenses. No, it is because of the fact that the Lagos State government and the Lagos State House of Assembly have turned LASMA into a revenue generating agency. So they are behaving like touts, they are behaving like dogs, they are out there, they have been given targets of how much they must, bring into the coffers of the Lagos State government every month. So this is where this whole thing stems from. And if we look back, when Ambode was governor, he took a decisive step and took these guys off the road. But then what do we have? They're back on the road, they're so powerful, and then they now have policemen attached to them who dress as if they're going to a war zone, and yet they're not fighting any war. So for me, I believe that it is high time that a holistic decision is taken as to the services and as to what LASMA needs to do and needs not to do. I mean, I'll give you a typical example. A few weeks back, I went down to somewhere in Yaba. I was going to an office. I didn't see a sign showing that it is one way and all that, but I just noticed that the only vehicles accessing that particular road are buses. And then I stopped curiously and I called a young man standing by the side. I said, please, can I move in? Is this a one way or what? He said, yeah, you can go. Then, when I looked up, I saw another security man, private security man. He said to me, he gave me a sign I shouldn't enter. He rather told me to turn back and he will give me a parking space. When I parked, I asked him, I said, why did you not allow me to enter? I said, that guy I was talking to is a LASMA man. He's not wearing uniform. His job at that point is to be bringing vehicles into that one way. And once you enter, you just see them coming out like bed bugs and arrest you. And I was like, I was really shocked. But I know a lot of people have gone through that. So we need to define the role of LASMA. First and foremost, if you are a security personnel, if you're in charge of traffic, your job is to ensure that people do not break the traffic laws. Your job is to even understand the road very well to get to where they're going, not to push them into a situation where there will be problems for them. This is what LASMA officials have been doing across the board. So we need to, government needs to sit down and redefine the role of LASMA. And when they do that, the people need to be educated as well. You need to see what these guys do on the major roads. when they stop you. They're coming after your car. They want to take over your steering. I don't know. I don't know who gave them that, who taught them that. And most times they're dragging you out of the car. They're dragging your steering with you. I mean, this has to stop. Few weeks back, it happened at Sele, where a woman and her kids were killed. And LASMA officials who were appointed to be involved, the Lagos State government immediately issued a statement saying LASMA officials were not involved. This one, we see eyewitnesses saying it is still LASMA people. And the federal and the state government is always quick. The management of LASMA is always quick to issue a statement. How do you issue a statement in an ongoing investigation? So we need to curb the excesses of LASMA. We need to curb it. Or else, negotiators will wake up one day and you will see another thing worse than SARS coming upon LASMA officials.
Thank you so much.
I think the federal government is just insensitive. Whatever they've apportioned as why the labor has gone on strike should have been what we would have looked at them, you know. The insensitivity of this government is very, very alarming. And I thank God that labor went on this strike, because we are heading into dictatorship. We are headed into an anarchistic society. The insensitivity of this government is that if somebody is brutalized, whether it's one person, is a citizen of this country. Forget that it's an NLC president. Even if it's an ordinary person, should we allow lawlessness to exist? Should we allow this kind of brutalities to exist? Because it's an NLC president today, another person could be lynched the next day. This particular regime is insensitive. They're insensitive because throughout that time, when this issue happened, I expected the presidency to come up with a statement, either apologize or institute a panel on how that incident happened. They never did. It's like they don't care. Okay, if you are talking about insensitivity, immoral and unjustifiable, where is our president? A country that the labor union say that they are going on strike. Where is your president? Who is more sensitive than a president who should be at home to talk about how this president should not go on? He's in Saudi Arabia. What is he doing there? This country is burning. What is the president doing outside the country? You are talking about insensitive.
The president has ministers. He has ministers. He has a vice president. He has other people who can also.
He is a father. He doesn't matter. He's a father of this country. He's a father. He should treat us like a father. He shouldn't treat us as if we are nothing. And that's what I saw about the president. This thing that happened to NLC president, I expected the president as a father to talk. He never did. Instead, he traveled and all that was seen is photoshops everywhere. He went to Umura, he went to this. Is that what we are talking about? Nigeria is burning. A day strike, you know what we are losing? We are losing a lot. It's not about the sensitivity of whatever, of the NLC, but it's insensitivity of the federal government. Because one day strike, if you understand what it means in a country as we are now, you should be able to know that the presidency should sit up and say what is going to happen. He said, calling this illegal. I don't know how it's illegal. For a government to brutalize somebody, a citizen, and then other people join and say, no, this cannot happen. How is it illegal? What is it that the government did when that incident happened? I expected since that time that the president should have come up, or even the presidency, and read out a statement. Nothing. He said, we're not in a military era. We're in democracy. Everybody has a right to express his views and his opinion. So if there's anything that Ajero did as a citizen that is criminal, then take him to court. You cannot beat him and say, why should we go on strike? Why should we go on strike? No. Labor, they have the right because it's their leader. That person represents their brand name. If you brutalize the president of NLC or the president of GUC, you brutalize the entire workforce. So it's not about Ajero. This is not a personal issue. This is not a personal vendetta. What Ajero went to Imo State to do was official. It wasn't a personal issue. It was official. So he went there under the authority of NLC and probably TUC. So it's not about Ajero and personal. No. It's until we start treating issues based on
it was brutalized in the line of duty.
I think the problem I think the problem we have now is that once it's an NLC, people believe that it's Labour Party. No, there's a difference between NLC and Labour Party. NLC has its own distinct unit, and they are there to protect the workers. And if anything is happening to the worker, they should be there. So you should remove Ajero from party. He's not there for partisan. No, he went there as NLC president, and there was a problem in Imo State concerning the worker and the government. So he has to be there. So what are they talking about? The insensitivity of this government is very, very alarming. And I'm saying it without the missing word. I respected our president since that time to make a comment on this issue. They never did.
All right.
You see now that the whole thing has boiled down, that they are now remembering that this protest is all about personal issue. No, it's about the entirety of this country.
Thank you, Dr. Maduka.
We should respect every citizen, whether he's an NLC president or whether he's the least of the citizen. Every human being, every Nigerian should be respected with dignity. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Maduka. All right, Prince Francis Chilaka. I mean, it's something everybody already knows that protest or protesting is a fundamental right of every citizen of this country, all right? But the government of the day always keeps kicking against that fundamental right of the people, all right, such as what we're seeing now. If we continue to push the narrative that everybody has the right constitutionally, fundamentally, to actually protest if they are not happy with how the country is being run, why then does the government always use the court to try to stop the citizens from expressing that fundamental right? This is not the first time this administration will be using the restraining order from the court to try and stop the labor unions from going on strike. If you recall, in August, they also went to the industrial court to try and stop labor from going on strike via a restraining order. That was when they were about to go on strike during the fuel subsidy removal time. But then later they withdrew that suit from court and then said they were going to now negotiate with labor. But here we are again down the line, another restraining order. And it's not only peculiar to this administration. The last administration under Muhammadu Buhari, we also saw how that administration also was always willing to run to the courts, to stop protests, as it were. Now, I want to ask, is protesting by the citizens, is it a threat of a very humongous scale? Is that why every time the government is always trying to stop the protest? Plus, if we cannot freely protest anymore because there's always a restraining order coming from the court, what then do the people actually have to fall back on in terms of expressing their displeasure at how they are being governed?
First and foremost, it is hypocrisy. The government is being hypocritical. The government is being insincere. The government is not being truthful to itself. I think the thing is that our leaders seem to forget too quickly. They seem to forget because they have said that history should not be taught in schools. And so things should be forgotten, even when they happen. We talk about the last administration of President Buhari's government. We know that he came into power riding on the back of protests, and we also know that this presidency, especially Mr. President, and those who are in his cabinet, most of them participated in the Ojota protest, if you remember, against Jonathan's administration. Mm-hmm. So, for them, what I find out with government is that when it favors them, it is not a crime. But when it doesn't favor them, it becomes a crime. And we need to begin to ask questions about this arbitration court. Is arbitration court set up just for government, to give government a leeway, or is it set up for the generality of Nigerians? Why is it that each time government approaches the arbitration court, they give a judgment in favor of government? Why? I mean, for me, I feel that, yes, protest is a way to air your views, is a way to let the government understand that what they're doing is wrong. and they need to, retrace their steps. Now, when we look at this strike that is ongoing now, I find it very funny when even the government sees it as a personal issue between the president of the NLC and, state government. It is not. It is not a personal issue. If you read very well, last week when they embarked on the same strike in Imo State, and when they gave a warning that they were going to start this strike today, they outlined the reasons for which they were embarking on this strike. And one of them, which is that the federal government has reneged in implementing the MOU they arrived at. Mm-hmm. That is one. Two, that the economy is grinding to a halt. Thirdly, that Nigerians are finding it difficult to survive, to have 3 square meals a day, to pay their house rent, to pay their school fees, to have medical attention to them. These are issues that Labour brought out. And unfortunately, I noticed that the press are playing down on that. And everybody's talking about the fact that Joe Ajire was assaulted in Imo State. I mean, let us not get these things mixed up. Let us say things the way they are. This strike, which they have embarked upon today, is long overdue. This government, from ab initio, has not had the interests of the people at heart. How can you be asking Nigerians to fast and pray, to be patient, yet you're buying cars worth 130 million for honorable members, you're buying cars worth 160 million for senators, you're buying a yacht, proposed yacht for the president, you are budgeting 2-point-something billion to buy cars for the wife of the president. What kind of country is this? Is it that those in power do not understand that the ordinary Nigerians are suffering? Do you know how many Nigerians are committing suicide every day? Do you know how many children their parents have pulled out of school because they can no longer pay the school fees? This government needs to bring a human face to its governance. So for me, this is a strike that is long overdue, and I hope that they take it to logic end. I hope that at the end of the day, that the government will understand that power, sovereignty belongs to the Nigerian people.
Thank you so much.
2 things. One, a person like me, I must say that I'm happy that they embarked on this strike. It's long overdue, like Chilaka said. We can't keep on playing ostrich. Nigerians are going through tough time. Going through, except we discussed it last time in your studio off camera. Nigerians are going through hell. Each day you see text messages for one demand or the other. It has never been like this, and the insensitivity of the government is why I'm not really happy, because you tell Nigerians to belt up. With your own belt, you're opening it up. You should be able to be an example of the reflection you want us to be. But unfortunately, it's not like that. I'm just hoping that this, strike will not be like this, the previous ones, where after some time it's fizzled out, and then we're back to square one. I'm seeing this as a call of, national call for the government to sit up. Seriously. If we don't, there's no other person that can do it for us. And the only voice for the voiceless and the vulnerables, the only voice they have is NLC right now, because the press has been pocketed, the judiciary has been pocketed, the NAS, National Assembly, has been pocketed by the executive. So the only voice right now is NLC, and that's why I think Nigerians are happy on this. Let us suffer this in few days and see what the government will do. But my problem is that this government will still do what they want to do. I've not seen them changing, because what we are going to hear from now is propaganda, and that propaganda has started. I'm saying that this strike is not a personal issue. So the government is bringing in a propaganda into it, and this propaganda can only be taken by docile citizens. This has nothing to do with Ajero. No, this has to do with national physics and national brand. We are really in a ditch. And I pray, like I said, I pray that this momentum of NLC will continue. And probably the government can sit up and do the needful. It's overdue. You can't be promising us since May, June, after the removal of the subsidy. You promise Nigerians, and they enter into a MOU with you. Up to today, the vehicles that the government promised has not been anywhere. The palliative that they talked about, they are going to start sharing. I don't know anybody who have gotten it. Not even in my village. I've asked questions. Nobody. I've asked nobody. So what are the benefits that Nigerians are deriving from the fuel subsidy that is removed? The fuel subsidy you removed should have been a situation whereby all Nigerians should benefit. But no. And now fuel is almost 700. And Nigerians are going through. People are trekking. People are hungry. But you see all these government officials with tinted cars, with all these 160 million vehicles. How do you want citizens to be? So I think the only remedy right now is NLC. And I pray that NLC will continue with this momentum. And maybe Nigerians should shut down anything that is going to be like a propaganda from this government. Because this government is all about propaganda. This strike, Nigerians should know, is not a personal strike of Ajero. It is a national strike for all Nigerians to be free, for all of us to be liberated. Like I said before, where is our president? Where is our president? This country, I don't think there's any country whose president will be outside when their country is calling for a strike. What is that person? What is he doing in another person's country? Do this country so that you can stay here. Look, I was telling somebody this morning, my friend, and I told Charles, look, nowadays I prefer to go to my village and have my holidays. I prefer it because the serenity. Why are we running to other countries? Why is our president not being the image maker of this country? Why is he the #1 tourist? And what is it when you talk about people in Japan? This is part of Japan. Since he entered this regime, how many times did he travel? Why can't you sit down and do something for this country? You come at the time when the country economy is going down. It's not a time for you to move. It's just like a chief executive who entered in a country, a company that's productive. Do you leave the policy of that country and start jockeying to other countries? No. You sit down and do something. Unfortunately, I don't know. What is it wrong with this with us? I don't know.
All right, Dr. Maduka.
What is it that
Thank you so much.
Every president,
Thank you, Dr.
president
Maduka.
look at outside that as the only place they can get solutions. Do your country well, investors will come. Do your country well, everything you are looking for will come. You don't need to go outside to solicit. What we have market here, population wise we have it, consumption wise we have it. Just do something that will make people happy, and then investment, foreign whatever you want, the investor will come. This jumping and Nigeria is burning. What kind of leader is that? I'm sorry I go this way, but I have to be sincere. We need to be blunt now, because the only people that can be blunt now is we, and not anyone else. We have to be blunt to our leaders. They have to be accountable to us. They have to be responsible citizens, just like we. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Maduka. Thank you for your summation.
I think every Nigerian is looking forward to this strike. Every Nigerian that has been going through a lot in terms of not being able to have 3 square meals a day, they're looking forward to it. And we're hopeful, and we believe that, yes, if this strike is sustained, government will, to a large extent, begin to think in line of taking care of the people. It is the duty of government to care for the people. It is the duty of government to provide enabling environment for the Nigerian people to thrive. But what we have today is far from it. So yes, for me it is a welcome development. For me, I hope that Labour carries it through, and I also hope that all the parties involved would think Nigeria first. It is very important. It is Nigeria first before any other person. So I believe that the leaders of the National Assembly should begin to think Nigeria first. They should begin to think of cutting down their salaries, cutting down their largesse. The same with the presidency. and the same with the judiciary. The judiciary before now used to be the last hope of the Nigerian people, but with what has happened in recent times, I'm sure Nigerians have lost hope in the judiciary, they have lost hope in the executive, and they have lost hope in the legislature. So Nigerians are looking up to Labour. So we hope that Labour will bring succor to Nigerians at the end of the day.
We'll start with you, Dr. Maduka.
Okay, I just want to plead to Nigerians to please endure for a little time. You know, the time of sowing is always a hard time. You know, when it's harvest time, it's always good. I think what NLC is doing, they are not doing it on behalf of the officials, they are doing it on behalf of Nigerians. And if you look at, like I submitted before, the only voice now for the voiceless in Nigeria is only the NLC. As of today, every other voice has been shut down. And please, let us just endure. They are not doing this on personal ground. They are doing it for the nation, for Nigeria to be a better country, to be a dignified country. So that even you as a citizen, you should be able to be respected as a citizen. You should not be beaten or brutalized simply because it's from government and nobody talks to you. So I think this is a clarion call, and I'm pleading with all Nigerians, please, let us endure this strike and let us see what government will do. We need a government who is empathic, a government who has our interests in their minds. And for last month, I'm equally saying, please, government should review their operation, functionality, because as of today, there's a disjointed ideas about what really LASMA stands for. Nigeria should be able to know what is exactly the function of LASMA, so that at every time they breach, as a citizens, we can sue and we can demand for anything that is criminal from them, so that we don't have this conflict whereby Nigerians are being killed, and at the end of it, the government comes up with a paper and says it was not us. Even with the witnesses, let LASMA please understand why they are there. They are not there as war officers. They are there as civilian officers to maintain the traffic of whatever zone they have posted. They are not there to.
Thank you, Dr. Maduka.